Hello, you are watching and listening to the episode of Leaders and Engineers. We are broadcasting from Tallinn, Estonia. And today our guest is an expert in electrical, electronics and communications engineering, radio frequency design. He is a Master of Science in Electrical Engineering and Information Technology from the University of Zagreb in Croatia, and has more than 5 years of experience in electrical and electronics engineering and radio frequency communications. He worked in such companies as Yazaki, a company from Japan specializing in automotive industry. And he also worked in Vertiv, a company from the United States specializing in IT networks and data centers. Now he lives in Estonia and works as a radio product engineer in Ericsson, one of the global 5G radio makers. Please meet Filip Culjak.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
It's not. It's Culjak, but
Culjak.
yeah, not a problem. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not an easy name to pronounce. So
Yeah, I think this C in different languages has different. In Italian, I probably could have been Che.
it could be
Like-
it could be
Yeah.
depends. We have it like in Croatian, it's like in Estonian. So as you spell it, that's how you pronounce it. So you cannot come to the confusions.
I see.
Yeah.
By the way, when I was searching your name, I found among the different websites, there was information according to IMDb that the person with the name Filip Culjak was famous for the role in Miss Scarlet and the Duke movie shot in 2022. Was it you?
Yeah. As far as I know, it wasn't me, but I don't know. I have like multiple identities? I cannot say, but as far as I know, I haven't shot that film. So who knows? But I might use it, like, in the future, maybe to like get some author rights, copyright.
I think you can easily claim because there was no photo on IMDb,
Mhm.
but the name is the same. So
Yeah, and it's like my last name is not so common even in Croatia, so there's not much people I think with the same name and last name. I have to check it out.
yeah. So in this podcast, we are doing something different. We're trying out a mock-up of job interview. And I want to suggest you to try out this mock-up of job interview. So it means that we play like you're applying for the leadership role in imaginary company. And when it is over, I will tell you, then I will ask you about your feedback. Was it similar to your previous experience when you had job interviews, and what were your overall impressions? So are you ready for that?
Yeah, of course, let's do it.
Awesome. So, hello, Filip. Thank you for applying for the leadership position in our company. Our company is a communications network company called GhostNet Communications. So we are developing a solution that will enable us to talk to spirits, ghosts, and entities from afterlife. So, for example, if a bank wants to contact a deceased borrower to discuss return of the loan, they can use our solution. Or if some pop star in afterlife wants to give a concert to earn some extra money, they can contact us and we can organize for them this opportunity. So you will lead the team, if successful with this interview, of course, you will lead a team of radio frequency engineers and scientists to develop the solution. And you will see on your screens how it looks like. I will show to Filip. So basically, here's a man, he's calling, and he can directly talk to the ghost. And yeah, maybe it's his idol or his famous favorite writer with whom he can talk.
So it's based like on, let's say, in disturbances in air, like in the waves of propagation. So let's say ghosts kind of create these disturbances, I would say, and then you connect these disturbances and then you convert it to the, let's say, language understandable to us living humans.
I like this attitude. You already started dissecting how to implement this.
Yeah. But that's how I see it. But let's see what I will also need to ask the feedback also from the engineering team. I first need to get to know them because they would be actually the experts behind it. I would be the driver, but they would be the experts who would conduct everything.
Yes, that's for sure. One note: this picture that you have seen, this was generated by DALL-E.
Mm-hmm.
DALL-E is basically also from OpenAI, same company which made ChatGPT. All right. So my first question to you: why have you decided to apply for this position?
Well, I decided to apply actually for a position of, let's say, which is in a leadership role, because I think at this current moment, I've gathered sufficient experience from 3 companies I already worked in and I work currently to be able to maybe, how to say, convert that knowledge into more of a leadership role that will kind of guide a bunch of young, motivated people that are willing to do something new, creative, which hasn't been seen before. And this is what motivates me. I'm motivated with not only, I like engineering, of course, I like technical stuff, but I also like people stuff. So communicating with people, negotiating, listening to other people, taking their, let's say, suggestions, having feedback. And I think also to, let's say, represent some team. It's a very honorable position. So that's why I would like to not try myself, but I would like to go in that direction for definitely in my career.
This is great to hear. But if we speak specifically about connecting with ghosts,
Okay.
what do you like about this idea?
Specifically connecting with ghosts, because I think a lot of let's put it like that a lot of stuff nowadays you cannot, maybe not a lot of stuff, but some stuff we cannot solve just with the people who are already here present physically on the current planet. I think talking with ghosts could help us understand much more, not only about, let's say, our relatives or some pop stars or whatever, but with a lot of like human history, because we could be able to communicate. Maybe some things wasn't written correctly in history or was kind of modified in between, and maybe we could act accordingly, and we would really have like we would also be able to connect with I don't know, maybe you want to connect, with Napoleon, let's say. We could ask him how was it in his time. We could connect with someone else. There is ghosts, so it's unlimited amount of ghosts here. It's like an endless, another endless universe, and I think we could learn a lot from ghosts from whatever part of the world we want to connect with.
Great to hear that you are so enthusiastic about this idea. Well, we're also quite excited about these opportunities. And given your extensive experience with RF design, how would you ensure our ghost communication devices don't get haunted by the static interference?
Don't get haunted by the static. That's actually that's a really good question. How would I ensure it? I think it's difficult to answer like immediately to give you exact answer, but I think I would first have to conduct a few studies on how actually ghosts operate. Let's say on how do they create disturbances. Like we would need to even see if we can catch disturbances. When we catch them, how do they manifest onto our device? Let's say do they interfere with maybe how we can convert that signal? Should we make some sort of filtering? Should we make any sort of shielding of our device? There can be multiple explanations. Like it's really difficult to say, but I definitely need to conduct a few studies to even see how these disturbances are even created by the ghosts, and how to even not only collect disturbances, but how to collect the useful signal that ghosts actually propagate and transmit and receive. Because we also need to see how ghosts receive. So what will we emit to the ghost? Because it's not only what they say, it's like what you want to ask, what you want to find out. How can we even make this how can we translate what we want to say to ghost language, to put it like that, or to ghost signal? It's maybe I didn't reply quite as you expected, but it's difficult now to say. I have some sort of visions, how would I approach it, but first I would have to do a detailed study on it. And of course, evaluate if there were any studies currently, because there might be already some studies conducted, which might be also useful, because you can always reuse and build on something which is already existing. Thank God, in the world we live in, there has been a lot of studies in any sort of field you can imagine.
Well, yeah, that's true. But probably I agree with you that if I understood you correctly, you would first start to characterize the frequencies and which the ghosts are using and their behavior. This leads me to the second question. It's given your expertise in electrical engineering, how would you handle the challenge of harmonizing human and ghostly frequencies for seamless interaction? So basically dealing with harmonics.
Well, dealing with harmonics, it would be just some sort of filtering. I don't know what kind of filtering, but I would have to extract from the signal I receive. I would have to actually just extract the desired signal I want to interpret and later process in the further electronical circuit. But first thing is always like filtering, in my opinion. Whenever we receive any kind of signal from outside, we always want to filter that signal because it might cause some sort of disturbances in a way while traveling. So from the transmitter to us whom are at this exact situation receivers.
Well, probably you will want to do this research before to understand what frequencies they use and maybe different types. If, let's say, ghost is angry or happy, they might use different frequencies.
They might use different.
So just not to filter out the right one.
Yeah, maybe I could only filter out the positive interactions and negative just the neglect. Depends on what I want to, present to the customer, to the end customer.
Well, for us, it's important that it's a full spectrum. So
Of course, we want to get all the emotions, all the possible information, and then decide ourselves how will we approach it and what we will provide back as our feedback to the ghost.
Yeah. But speaking about your engineering background, how did you start this journey? When did you realize you want to be an engineer, and how it all started?
It all started actually in high school, I would say. Maybe even sooner, but when I was really clear about it, what I want to do was in high school, actually. And what's funny is that I haven't gone to any sort of technical high school. I went to the language high school. So I went to this more, let's say, human social sciences kind of way. And in the way, I've just noticed that I like to solve problems. I like to deal with numbers. I like to deal with data. I like to have a specific task. I want to have clear inputs, want to provide clear outputs. I don't want to put like anything to imagination. And I decided it was, I think, third grade in high school. So I was 17. And then I decided I will put a lot of my effort into studying physics and mathematics and electronics and stuff like that. So I can apply for this university because it wasn't difficult because I understood, let's say, relatively late. I would put it like that. You know, some people were preparing from even elementary school and from first grade of high school. So relatively late, I started, let's say, maybe preparing into more detail to even apply for that university because it's not so easy to get in. But I did my best and it worked fine, let's say.
But you started from your school time, but what was the trigger, or did you like physics, or it was some teacher who inspired you?
It was mostly teachers, actually. I think it's a lot of your decisions are dependent on teachers, how you say. Let's say if you have a good teacher in history, probably history will be a very interesting subject for you. If you have a bad teacher in history, you will probably hate history because it will just be a lot of facts, a lot of stuff you have to learn by heart, and it will be boring for you. But if someone can, let's say, recreate some battles, explain, so you can visualize that stuff, and he's passionate about transferring knowledge, and you see that when you ask questions to that teacher, it's not that he or she just, I don't know, pushes you back, yeah, this is this, and gives you answer in few short words. When they give you like a full answer and actually invest their time into, you get good feedback. And I was lucky enough to have that kind of teachers in both mathematics, in physics, and also in chemistry. So that's why I also like chemistry. Now I was better with chemistry in my high school, but I would say this, let's say, natural sciences are my passion, to put it like that. Yeah, but definitely you correctly identified that that it's really dependent on teachers, because you know a lot of people, we are bombarded with multiple informations from this world. There is so many things that you might find interesting. I mean, I don't know, when I was a kid, I liked dinosaurs, I studied dinosaurs, and I thought I would be an archaeologist. So we can be interested in a lot of multiple stuff, and we don't know what we actually want. Maybe some people will guide us, direct us, parents, friends, your surroundings, teachers, for sure, because as now in grown-up world, you spend most of your life in work. And when you're a kid, you spend most of your life in school. So that's when you get most influence from, I think.
So if I understood you correctly, teachers definitely important, and surroundings as well, whom you talk of, who are your friends.
Yes, I would definitely put that your surrounding is also like very important, because feedback you get from your friends. Some friends might, let's say, you say, I want to be specific scientist and I want to deal with rocket science. Then they make fun of you. Probably if they make too much fun of you, you might say, I won't go in that direction because my friends will make fun of me. Maybe it's a basic example, but for someone it can be deterministic.
Can you share a particularly challenging project you worked on and how you overcome the obstacles to achieve success?
Specifically challenging project and how okay, in my current work, or is it like related, just like job role related, or is it related to anything?
Anything.
Yeah. Okay, but let's go from job role. I would, let's say, start from my first company I worked with, which is Yazaki Europe. I would actually want to say that I had a really good mentor who, even though I had like more, how to say, affinity towards RF electronics, but when I started working at Yazaki, I really he was like very, very good mentor. And I really started to enjoy working in RF electronics and him. And there was this, at some point, I think I was there maybe 9 months, somewhere a bit less than a year. He just got on a vacation, and there was this upcoming project where we had a big collaboration with our plant in North America. So Yazaki North America and Yazaki Europe, where I worked. And they started this pilot project, which was to conduct electromagnetic simulations in cars, which we haven't dealt with before. We were mostly dealing with connectors, and this was like they wanted to put a backbone in a car, which would like go through all the car. It would go like on the floor. Floor would be flat, and that would be all the data and all the power that is that is like, how to say, currently in the car. So so it would be not only data, it will also be power, and that was propagating through some junctions to all the different areas. So let's say if you need a camera, they will just put a junction, fasten something there, and that wire or signal that signal from the wire would go to, let's say, camera, and if you need like to start the engine, it would be the same. And they wanted to see what would be like the architecture of this backbone. So would it be like flat? Does it depend? Is it let's say how wide it is, how high it is, and what the material would be used. And that was first time I encountered that kind of simulation. They wanted to see what is the actually they were interested in only the magnetic field around it. How does it create? What does it create? How does it look like? Would the magnetic field propagate? I didn't know anything about this simulation, and my mentor was actually on vacation for 3 weeks. Maybe I'm mistaken, but let's say 2-3 weeks. Really didn't know how to approach. And I just started creating different shapes and started to see like how does the magnetic field actually, how does it propagate and how does it radiate, depending on what material we choose for the shielding, what material we use for a conductor, and what material we use for the insulation in this backbone, which is, essentially a conductor. And when I started doing some sort of simulations, little by little, I got to know, like I understood how does it propagate. I could maybe present that it would be good to go with a wider and a more, let's more flat. So it would be wide and not so high, that kind of geometry. And then other difficult task was actually to explain it, not only to myself, but to explain it to my superior, who was actually team leader in my team, and to explain it to the colleagues in North America, who were actually interested and who came up with that task, but they didn't have any 3D electromagnetic simulation expertise. And that was maybe the most challenging task. And how did I approach it? I actually put together maybe 5 or 6 presentations that were in specific time frame when I started working in Yazaki that I made myself with the support, of course, of my mentor. And I started to see like the pattern, how is it upgrading slowly, how am I presenting, what pictures am I choosing to show, how am I forming my words and everything, and this sort of, let's say, gradual transience towards better presentations, and that will be more understandable to specific people, because it's not easy. It's not the same if you present, let's say, your technical solution to a bunch of engineers, to a group of engineers, or you present it to a group of managers, or you present it to a group of just interested kids in the high school, let's say. It really depends, and I think that kind of specific gradual approach is what helped me to achieve that. I would use this in any sort of, task. Okay, maybe sometimes you're limited with time and resources, of course. There, I was lucky maybe because I wasn't so limited with the time. And in the end, it turned out great, because even my mentor who came after vacation, he was really proud, and he said, yeah, good job. It wasn't perfect, to be honest. Not to be that I'm bragging or whatever, but it wasn't perfect. It was far from perfect. Then we modified it a bit more. But I did it myself, and I was only, let's say, less than a year in a company. So I think that's a good achievement, I would say.
Yeah, that's a great story. But you are here, I see, under a lot of pressure, so you're clearly stressed. What did you do to overcome stress and not to burn out?
I was mostly like, let's say this kind of work atmosphere in Croatia is a bit more relaxed than here, what I've noticed in Estonia. So it's quite common, let's say, that you get out of your chair and whatever and speak to some people about random stuff. It can be, I don't know, what did you do yesterday? I don't know, what will we eat? That kind of helped me relax on the job, because I wasn't pushed by anybody. Oh, do this, do that. No one created much pressure, because the most pressure I put actually on myself, because it was a burden. I needed to produce something in some time, which, it wasn't so, let's say, it wasn't so short time frame or a narrow time frame, but still I had to produce something. It couldn't be that I don't have anything. And that helped me, like these conversations, this maybe just taking walks. Then this is like job related when I was in the office. But outside of the office, I do a lot of sports. I have a dog with whom I walk each day at least 10 kilometers. That's what helped me. As I said, I like to do sports. I just like go to mountains, maybe hiking, climbing, which helps me clear out my head, because I noticed that whenever I go on this kind of walks, and when I do some sort of high intensity training, is it like climbing, going to mountains, hiking, overcoming some hard obstacles, it helps me actually clear out my head completely, because I only live in the specific moment, this exact moment, and this is really rare in nowadays. I don't know if I ever catch myself thinking only about one stuff specific, or not thinking about anything. And when I go like mountaineering, this is the only thing I see. I just see like a mountain. I will go in this route. I just think what will my next step be, and this sort of connection with the nature. Maybe it's a cliche, but just hearing, the birds sing, the wind, experience the sun as we are here now in this beautiful day. It really helps me relax and clear out my head, so I don't think about the issue. I think this sort of moments when you are only present in the exact same moment, just in this moment, these are the most valuable things we can have in modern time, I would say, in my opinion.
Well, I would actually also agree with you, and it's, I think, becoming like a luxury or something more valuable when you have time just for yourself without any gadgets or devices, and when you don't do multitasking, maybe you don't just do anything. I think there was in Netherlands some kind of term for that you can just go from your workplace and sit in the park and just do nothing.
That's that's nice. Yeah, it's really difficult nowadays, I would say. From the moment you wake up, you think what I have to do. Just think what I have to do. Then I don't know. I catch myself sometimes preparing breakfast, scrolling on my phone, seeing if I have any emails. Maybe sometimes just scrolling on Facebook or that irregular stuff. But still, it kind of occupies your mind. Then you think, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. We like arrive at the exact same time. Then I need to go to this training. I need to talk with these people. I need to do this, and it's really like rare occasion that you can.
But just now you also spoke about you spoke a bit about your work experience in Estonia, that compared to Croatia, how it's different. And this is the next question that I want to ask. You actually worked in a Japanese company, all the way in Croatia, and then you worked in American company, and you work now in a Swedish company.
Yeah.
So how did this diverse cultural experience influence your professional growth and approach to engineering?
I think it actually helped me a lot because I came in contact with a lot of different cultures, mindset, and people, just ways of dealing things. You know, it's not always that you, how to say, pick up only good stuff. I think maybe in my opinion, it's even more important to pick up the bad stuff so you don't, how to say, repeat those. So I would say that it helped me a lot to, let's say, pick up the good stuff and the bad stuff. So I know what will I not implement and I know what I will implement. But maybe also, I mean, depending on the culture, some things that you might, let's say, implement in Croatia and that will work in Croatia might not work in Estonia and vice versa. That is the same. I was maybe lucky enough that this transition wasn't so, to put it like that, painful or stressful, because, you know, all of 3 companies I worked with, they are corporations, and there is a lot of people, like international people. It's not only here in Estonia, it's not only Estonians. Even in Yazaki, Europe, there wasn't like, it was mostly Croatians, but it wasn't like only Croatians. We have like our top management was in Germany. We had a lot of visits from Japan. We had even colleagues in our office which weren't from Croatia. So helped a lot. Also in Vertiv, maybe I would say this American culture was maybe more present, which is in my, I can say only about Vertiv, I can't say about other, but it was more relaxed. I had almost like my own office. It wasn't like, you know, this big office where everybody sits. It was me and a few colleagues. We were kind of divided by departments. So electrical engineering would sit specifically together. Mechanical engineering would sit together. Firmware engineering would sit together. Maybe it's in a way isolated us from each other, but it also helped us connect, you know, because when you sit with 100 people in the same room, it's difficult to maybe connect. And in this was maybe good because I developed this connection with people. You work on your task, and then maybe you feel, I don't know, burnout or stress. You just do some comments and talk with people. Then they just come and help you. You know, it never. They are really not so, how to say, difficult to approach. Even I was at first when I started working, I was a bit scared. You know, will I approach this? Everybody is older, more experienced. How will I approach it now? This young guy comes with a lot of questions. Will I be annoying to them? But in the end, I think I never had a bad experience. I was lucky enough not to have, at least not too bad experience. But even if people didn't have time at the exact same moment, they would say, look, Filip, I'm sorry, I don't have time at the moment, but can we please address this issue tomorrow in a few hours? I will contact you. And they all treated me with respect. And I think when you're treated with respect, you kind of want to treat people back with respect. It all comes down to this. I mean, each of us wants to be treated with respect, and I would say that this connects all cultures in the end. We have our cultural differences, but we all want to be treated with respect.
Speaking about the cultures and diversity and inclusion, let's say there is a company branch open in Croatia, and you appointed as the head of this branch of the engineering company, and you have there already people working there like 15, 20 years, experienced engineers, but they all 100% Croatians and males. And now your management from the international company, they say to you, hey, Filip, we need to meet our diversity and inclusion goals. So you need to diversify your team, and you need to bring there people from different nationalities and different genders. So in this scenario, how would you approach this implementation?
Let's just to be clear on the question: does diversification, how to say, include firing some of the people that already work there or not? Just maybe just bringing in more people of different nationalities, races, genders, or is it also firing some of the people that already work there?
Let's say there is no need to fire, but it's also loosely specified to you that basically it's up to you. You can fire to meet this kind of diversity number, or you can expand your team, but then you need to justify the budget. So it's loosely specified, so it's basically up to you how you would approach.
Well, definitely. I mean, as in any, when you're searching for any kind of job roles, or if I need to diversify a team, I would approach it the same as I didn't need to diversify the team. I would put the job advertisement. That's probably in cooperation with HR. We would create like this text that you put in the job advertisement based on whom we want to attract. Then we will, of course, do the regular hiring. I mean, the regular hiring process. We would filter CVs on some specific, I don't know, would I be included in the filtering of CVs that come in and that we want to see, or will only be HR and then they will later present it. But I would like to be more included in seeing CVs, because I've noticed that specifically in engineering companies nowadays, some people I would say they hire basically on what they see on CV and filter, and they don't understand, maybe some people, because they don't have engineering or technical background, they don't understand that it's not the same to hire power electronics engineer, RF engineer, electrical engineer, specialized in gate circuitry design, signal gate circuitry control, maybe some engineers that are specialized in IC design, firmware engineers. For them, it's mostly all engineers. It's like electrical engineers, it's one group of people, mechanical engineers is one group. I cannot speak for mechanical, but I've collaborated with a lot of them, and I know mechanical engineering is a lot of like very wide, broad field, and you cannot just narrow it down to mechanical engineering. Then people tend to hire maybe someone who is best on CV and who presents. I mean, it all comes down to in the end, how will you sell yourself? Everything in the world is like buy and sell. So how do you know how to sell yourself actually to the hiring manager? So someone will have to, let's say, sell him or herself to me. That's what I would like to see, not only from engineering background, because I would like to, even though I need to diversify a team, I think making teams too diverse can influence the team performance. I mean, it's difficult to say, but if we were in Croatia, I would mostly go with people maybe that have a similar way of, let's say, thinking, that are maybe more relaxed, maybe more of southern cultures, just because they would more easily be, how to say, accepted by already established team members, because you cannot just neglect team that was already here, that was building everything for 15 years. I know it's difficult, but there are some things that are, I think there are some things that are more important than just including specifically, we need to be, diverse. We need to hire this amount of people from this area, from this country, amount of people from this gender, amount of people from this age. It's really difficult. You need to find actually the experts that are most suitable, and also, if possible, incorporate them that are, let's say, their mentality is similar to the people that are already there. So because if you hire too much diverse, people get lost. Not only that, it would be also bad to the people that you hire, not only to the people that are already there, because they might feel like, neglected. You cannot expect people that are already 15 years here, established everything, and now they just, how to say, I don't know, change their way of thinking, change their way of operation, and still at the same time be efficient. That might require, that would be like a difficult process. I might even go and start with like specific sub teams. I would maybe go with these experts that are already there. I don't know what number of them would be, but let's put 5 people. I would maybe try to divide it into sub departments where all of them would lead, and maybe I would also try to include them into this candidate selection process in a specific way, just to ask them maybe to record interviews or something like that, because their feedback is equally important as the feedback that from people that are to be hired, I would say. Maybe I kind of got too much distracted by this question, or get too much into like how to say.
That's all fine.
But it's really difficult. it depends because they say, oh, we want to diversify it. I mean, they might go and fire me, but I would actually, to be honest, I would rather be fired than just necessarily be going to and diversify the team if I know that will affect the team performance and the overall satisfaction and this cohesion of the team. I would rather be fired and let's go with someone else doing it. Really, to be honest.
All right. And you clearly have a vision on how things should be done in societies around the globe, how the governments should function. So if you were today a leader of some Central or European or Eastern European country, I'm specifically talking about Central or Eastern European countries,
Okay.
because I think that would be more giving you a kind of idea of what kind of environment, because it's not same as Western, of course. So yeah, if you were today a leader of some Central or Eastern European country, what would you change and what would you keep?
What would I change in specific, like, let's say, like you mean any kind of thing related, not only like economics, legal, foreign policy, internal policy, anything that I would change.
Yeah, like first things which come to the mind. If you are like right now, you are in the position, you are leader of one of those countries.
What I would change? I mean, it really also depends on the country, but I can maybe put in, let's say, kind of maybe Eastern, let's say, maybe not Central, but Eastern Europe is known for like corruption-wise. We have a lot of, let's say, I don't want to be rude, but let's say leftovers from old regimes, and people got used to with some specific way of thinking, and we have these old political parties that keep winning, like they always keep winning on the elections, and people just keep complaining. They don't do anything. They just rob us. They steal. I would definitely go. I mean, for me as a leader, I might go and change like some election laws, which would maybe more be, in at least in my view, fair. Because I think I cannot speak for countries I haven't been, because I speak from Croatian perspective, just so we can understand. But let's say election rules are not so good there. We had some dead people voting for a specific party. So it's like I think the voting system is not. I think definitely the corruption needs to be addressed in those countries, because Eastern European and Central European countries have a lot of potential. They are kind of the heart of Europe, transport-wise. All the transport, all the, let's say, this transport of goods. Like if you want to, let's say, also maybe just commuting of people can also be. It's always done through this Central Europe, and I think it really needs to be addressed, that this thing of issue of corruption, I would say, because it's really difficult. It's influencing, because when you have a lot of people in power that are in power for a very, very long time, it's difficult to change something. And definitely what I would do, I would change the election laws, because I think the current election laws are allowing this to happen over and over again, and they are not driving us forward. That's what I think. And I would more go and try to attract foreign investments. We are already started doing good, I think, in Eastern and Central Europe, but I think there needs to be like more foreign investments, because foreign capital is really important in this. I mean, the world is now global. We cannot lie. Maybe someone might want it not to be global. We want to like specify to a specific region of Europe or whatever, but in reality, we are global, and we need to connect with other people, and we need to attract foreign capital, because most of the Central and Eastern European countries are actually small countries, and we cannot survive on our own. Maybe I would also approach it in a specific way, that we have some sort of, union, as let's say Baltic countries have. They have this, I don't know, some sort of Baltic fair trade, stuff like that. I think they had like a really good approach from all the countries in Central Eastern Europe. I would maybe address like Baltic countries and Czech Republic. They have a really good policy that help them reach certain level that maybe some other countries, more Southeastern European, still haven't reached. We definitely lack that, I would say.
Do you think, in general, if if people with engineering or science background would lead countries, that would have been better?
I think not necessarily only engineers. I think definitely not only engineers, because engineers are kind of we try to find an issue in everything. We always want to see why something will not work. We don't have this approach. We are afraid to take risks. We always evaluate everything into too much details. We are maybe, how to say, late to take decisions, to take these steps which needs to be taken. Sometimes we just have to risk and see how it turns out. So we would have to have some sort of cooperation with people that have definitely legal background, like really expert legal background, and also economics background. This is equally important. I think engineers, in a way, more think rational, and they definitely should be more included in the, let's say, higher political positions, higher politician positions, definitely, but not. I wouldn't put only engineers, because we tend to, how to say, prolong everything and analyze into too much depth, which in depth when taking political decisions, sometimes it's just you either take it or you don't take it. It has to be done like that. It has to be someone which will, how to say, have a firm hand and
All right.
have decisions. Definitely interesting, because I remember that we have in Croatia. He is a mayor of a small city in Croatia near Zagreb, which is capital, like maybe 20 kilometers, Sveta Nedelja. And this is a guy from a small political party which maybe won, I don't know, in last Croatian elections, maybe 2% of the votes. But he is like doing a really great job on this small area, in this Sveta area, because he attracted a lot of foreign investments, a lot of investments from European. Maybe you've heard about Rimac Automobili. This is like Rimac cars. This is hypercars, electrical hypercars that are produced in Croatia. They are also owners of Bugatti. And this is actually in Sveta Nedelja, and he recognized that this will be a big thing. He now attracted a lot of money there. So I think he has really, and this is a lot of people from Zagreb even came to live there, and in Samobor, which is another city very near, like 30 kilometers radius from Zagreb, because actually the quality of life is better. There is less bureaucracy, there is more peace. Everything functions as it should be. I know it's easier to implement all the changes on a small scale, let's say, in small cities. It's easier here to implement in Estonia, let's say, in, I don't know, which city, let's say, Viljandi or Tallinn. It's not the same to implement it, or on the whole country scale. So, but there are some people that do really good job, and this guy is actually an electrical engineer, which graduated on my university. So, engineers might also be really good fit, but they need to definitely have more. I think engineers should build on their communication and negotiation skills, because we mostly focus on technical stuff in universities, and no one kind of teaches you how to communicate with people, how to negotiate. No one teaches you about finance. We are so far away from legal stuff. Legal is really important. You have to know the laws. You have to know how laws operate on the European scale, national scale, global scale. It's
How do you think your colleagues would describe you? Can you tell like top 3 characteristics about you?
how would my colleagues describe me?
Yes.
Good question. I would need to ask them first. Okay, let's try. I think they would describe me as I'm definitely a fair, I would say, honest, and I would put maybe a bit more, not to say that, maybe a bit more relaxed or easy going. Because I think that's kind of impression I usually, how to say, leave to people that, like when they get to know me better. Because I definitely, I'm always, fairness is like one of the most important things for me. I'm definitely honest. I don't want to like hide anything. I was never that kind of person that would, say, oh, I know something that I don't know. If I don't know something, I'm really honest about it, because I think any sort of lying will eventually lead you to some corner where you cannot go out, and it will influence the team. So I think they consider me an honest person. And why I said easygoing, because I'm maybe it's more because I'm, let's say, from this part of Europe, from Croatia. We are more, let's say, outgoing, relaxed, which is not so common in some other countries, and I always try to, let's say, make jokes to have like more relaxed atmosphere at work, that we are more, let's say, laughing and stuff like that. So maybe from time to time I go too much. My jokes maybe aren't so well accepted always, but it's always like positive attitude. I consider myself, and I think they also consider me a positive person, I would say. Yeah. That be three characteristics.
Well, I think this is really good characteristics, especially this being having sense of humor, because yeah, the work is work, but basically you don't want probably to be too serious.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we are all humans.
When already everything is serious, then it's
Yeah,
like a bit.
we are all humans in the end. I mean, laughing is good for your health. That is.
Yeah. But when you're leading a team, let's say here you have the option that you have a team of engineers and scientists. How could you track their motivation level and how would you motivate them? How would you keep the motivation high?
I was actually thinking about this approach because how I would like maybe my managers to approach me, and how would I like? I mean, I don't know would it help, but from my current standpoint, I would go with one-to-one meetings. Like I would conduct one-to-one meetings in a specific time frame. Let's say it can be monthly. Let's do monthly. I think monthly is sufficient if you don't actually see that anything is going wrong. If you see clearly that something is wrong, then it's you have to act immediately. I would say if something goes horribly wrong, or really you notice that something not good. But I would keep like one-to-one meetings with them. I would go with this open approach. I would like to get their feedback. Not, I wouldn't go them and ask how you feel, but I would start with, let's say, how do you think about working on this project? Do some things need to be addressed differently? I wouldn't approach it from a perspective that I would put all together in one room because sometimes people are not. I wouldn't say not honest, but they just don't want to say some things as they really feel because that's to maybe hurt someone, and they don't want to, how to say, expose themselves too much. So I think these one-on-one conversations are really important to see, like, how do you think about your work tasks? Is it how to say, satisfactory to you? Is it sufficient? Do you feel that it's maybe too boring? Do you think that something needs to be addressed differently? And also, in addition to that, I would have definitely monthly like team meeting where all the team members would be, and I would analyze. I would then try to analyze from individual meetings and team meetings, and then see like maybe if I can transfer some different tasks to some other my employee at that moment. So could I transfer maybe different tasks? So maybe he's more challenged and he's more motivated to do it. That would maybe be my approach, and also maybe someone just wants to change. I might find that maybe someone is not suitable for my department, not because he is not good or anything, but because some department might be better. I might go with even suggesting to him, not because I want to get rid of people, but maybe suggesting, have you tried considering this? Would maybe this be more interesting to you? I would try to give them the opportunity to see that I'm also there. I wouldn't say as their psychologist or friend, but I'm also there because I'm there actually to help their career also, because I want them to be satisfied. Everybody wants their employees to be satisfied. Whenever I'm happy, and I think that the task is challenging enough for me, I'm really like willing to do it, because you need. And why would I also conduct this team meetings is because I want to see the cohesion inside the team. I just want to see how they operate as a team, because that is a different team mentality is different from individual mentality. I think you need to analyze both. So maybe monthly meetings, both individual, couldn't take too long. It might be like half an hour. I think each manager should have time to, let's say, if I lead 10 engineers, because I also think that maybe bigger teams, if some manager leads 20, 30 engineers, it's not, I think it's not efficient. It's difficult. You cannot manage 30 people. It's way too difficult. I would maybe put 10 is some sort of limit. Might be different for other people, but I would put 10 as a limit. And definitely you need to have half an hour, 20 minutes of time each month for any of them. I think you need to, even if it's outside of your work hours, you as a manager, as a team leader, you need to be interested in that kind of stuff. You cannot just go and ask for the results. How is this? How is that? Did we guys do this? This is the new task. That approach cannot work. You also cannot be, too soft. Oh, I'm your friend. Let's go to beer. Let's go to pizza afterwards. It's also, you have to be their manager. They need to see that you are a manager and that you are actually, have this firm hand. You make the decisions, and also that you are there to support them. That you will kind of, you are their leader. You have to be the first one. Let's say if it's an issue, you are the one to take the blame. You are the one. It's not my employee. I was the one who told him. So they need to feel that they have your support and that you have their back. Definitely.
But we spoke about motivation, and now if we reverse the situation, especially nowadays, it's happening quite often that companies going through restructuring and they are laying off people. So imagine the situation that you're leading your team and you need to go through this layoff. The company is going through restructuring, and you're given the task from your superior management to do cuts in your team. How would you explain it to your team?
I would actually be perfectly honest. I think I wouldn't try to hide anything. I would say as it is, like, because of this and that, we are going through restructuring, and I need to lay off some of you. I don't know what number.
Can you model exactly? Let's say imagine that maybe you can talk to me and imagine that you are telling me this, that I'm in your team.
Okay, yeah, I would approach this. You see, Mr. Godrikon, let's say, to use your name, you see, the situation in companies like that, that's because of specific stuff that happened on a global scale. We need to go with laying off few people. While conducting a detailed analysis with my manager, with myself, with what are the expectations from us in the next 5-10 years. Let's put 5 years. What are the expectations in 5 years? I decided that these specific tasks and this specific job role that you are dealing with is not fitting anymore into our plans. And since I need to lay off somebody, that would be you. That is maybe how I would approach it. And then now I would need to get your feedback, of course. That would be my maybe like first few sentences.
Yeah, but if you need to lay somebody, I actually know who is not doing much job and much worse than me. This is Martin. Look, he's not doing much of work. I'm much better. So you should lay off him.
Yeah, well, that is different because now I would need to explain why. But everybody thinks that he or she does the best job. That's what someone sees. Maybe even Martin. I cannot say. I would have to analyze it. Of course, maybe let's say if you put it like that, if really some Martin guy does really bad job, then it's a no-brainer. You just go with him because he's, let's say, not doing anything, only scrolling on Facebook, drinking coffee. Then it's an easy decision because he doesn't contribute either way. But if it's, let's say, if everybody is doing their job correctly, no one is like maybe spectacular, but everybody's doing their job perfectly correctly, even maybe a bit above expectations. I would definitely need to analyze what are our business goals and plans for the next few years, and which position doesn't, fit into those plans. You will never get the satisfaction from this person. I think they have. There are some compensation, but if I would. In the meantime, I would do my best to maybe try to transfer that person to some other department, or maybe just write a letter of recommendation, definitely for future employers that might hire him. I would definitely go with all possible, weapons that I have on my hand to make his transition to this someone who is currently searching for a job much more easy. That is how I would approach it, because sometimes you just have to make decisions. It's not it's not up to me to explain too much. I'm really sorry. Okay, I am sorry, but sometimes just that's the way how it goes. It might be the same for me, but they might just go and say, "Oh, Filip, tomorrow you won't be working anymore." And no, I know that it's not bad tantrum from anybody. It's just decision. That's life where we live in. Might be, I don't know. Anything might happen. we don't expect it, we don't prepare for it. Of course, you won't live your life in fear. Oh, will I get fired today? Will I not? But you also have to be aware. And of course, when you're the one being laid off, it's the worst thing that can happen. But that's also part of life, which we cannot, at some point, we cannot avoid. Some occasions, it's unfortunately we cannot avoid.
Yeah, this is of course not a good experience overall in any case, but yeah, this nowadays this is happening all around. But
I might, sorry to interrupt you, but you might have as a manager, you get quite a lot of contacts more than as working as an engineer. So you get more contacts. You might know people from other companies. You might say, this from because of that and that situation, you go with this guy. Please consider hiring this guy. He's a really good employee. I think he'd contribute. It's not up to me. I cannot influence decisions. We fortunately need to fire him. So you can do this kind of recommendations, which is in your best. You as a human being, that's a completely normal thing to do. And I think that's the only thing that you can do that is good for your current employee, which will soon be forward. Otherwise, you cannot. I mean, you cannot do much, because even if I say, "Oh, fire me," let's keep my employee, they will fire me, and this guy. It's the same. So it's
got it. Another question that I have, it's about the increasing levels of the electromagnetic fields and radio frequency radiation. What do you think of those increase in those levels, like when the frequency is increasing, and about potential impact on the flora, fauna, on the people?
Well, I think there are more. I'm not an expert in that kind of. I mean, I don't come up with regulations and specifications on according to which the testings are conducted. But as far as I know that a lot of all of these devices go through really really strict testing procedures. They have really strict specifications, and the human influence, the flora, the fauna influence is always studied. I know that we might not be on the best track at the moment. It might be that we figure out something in 20 years, but that's kind of the price you have to pay if you want to go forward. So now we have to make maybe in some sort of we are in some sort of situation that we need to at some point make a decision. So is it worth, does the benefit of the thing that I'll be doing, so let's say, I don't know, I want to switch to, I don't know, terahertz frequency, will the benefit of what will I get with that frequency? If the only benefit of, I will be able to download this movie, I don't know, 3 times faster, then if we don't know what is its impact on, let's say, environment, so both humans, plants, animals, nature, might not be worth it, might not be, okay, let's wait till we have better knowledge and understanding of everything. Might be not that this technology is the most suitable one, because that's the same as with this. I mean, you have a lot of things in the modern industry that are already developed 30 years ago that worked perfectly fine, but we are now just trying to, upgrade it. We need to have, I don't know, cars that can open the doors themselves, or I don't know, that can detect this, detect that. I mean, is it really necessary? I think not. People live perfectly fine with it. I think also you need to leave some space for people to actually think with their brains. We are getting more and more into this area where people are just dependent on every sort of technological device, and this device will tell them, oh, I don't know, it's too hot in your apartment, it's too cold in your apartment, your car needs to be filled, your tires are, I don't know, they have not sufficient air pressure. A lot of things. Don't eat this food, might be rotten. We I think might not need to have any sort of device or detection. Is this food rotten or not? You can see it yourself. So I would definitely approach it to answer your question once again. Yeah, I think you need to consider the potential benefit, what this specific device or what will be the use case, and how does conduct the study, the benefit and possible, bad effects, so possible negative consequences, and decide yourself. If it's too much of a possible negative consequence and the benefit is not that high, I think just doesn't matter. If it's some medical device, let's say for curing cancer, which uses some specific frequency to destroy cancer cells, but might also do damage to something else, might be worth investigating definitely deep.
But would you use some kind of invention if there is no consensus among health experts, among scientists? So let's say 50% they say this is no problem, you can use it, and 50% say that no, there might be risk.
Me personally, or would I recommend? Me personally, I wouldn't use it if it's 50-50. I need to have, if it's some, let's say, definitely medical device, the medical, I don't know, what's the medication, let's say, or a medical preparate, or however, I would definitely not use it if it's 50-50. It might be, this is my current opinion, might be if it's like question of definitely life and death, and then it's, you know, that it's kind of 50-50 if you use it. You know, it's life or death, but it's either way life or death. If you don't use it, then who knows? But my answer would still be, I think I would go with no. I definitely wouldn't use anything, or even like some sort of device that's like electronic device that radiates some electromagnetic spectrum, which is not investigated. Also 50-50, doesn't necessarily have to be health industry. I also wouldn't go into implementation. Even if the company asks me to go into development of that device and launch it to market, I personally would, I would personally reject. And I think some principles need to be stronger than just chasing, you know, money and fame. There are things that are more important, because there are people, even if you get laid off, some people will also understand, okay, I agree with this guy. He actually didn't want to do anything bad. So it's, I know I also said previously you need to sometimes take risks, but I think some things are just not worth taking risks.
All right. And now the final question in our job interview, it's what's your salary expectation?
What is my salary?
Yeah, for this position in our ghost applications leadership role.
Well, it's difficult to say at this specific moment, but I have some sort of salary range in my mind. And considering that I haven't worked my current job experience, I haven't worked as a leader, I would definitely be prone to accepting, let's say, the lower echelon of the amount you were preparing to pay. But I would definitely need to hear what is your offered salary. So what is your salary range? Because without getting to know like what will be my day-to-day task, how difficult will it be, it's difficult to conclude. But definitely, I think that I would be willing to accept, because you are also risking with taking me as an employee whom I haven't worked. I haven't got previous experience as a leader. I don't have a proven track record of anything. I have motivation, but you know, a lot of people can say I have motivation. So I think you're also risking the same as I am. So I would be willing to accept maybe a bit lower value, but definitely not below the market value, because I did my research and I know how sort of engineering leadership positions, they have some sort of specific range. So I wouldn't go in minimum. I would go in a lower median range. Maybe it's a maybe philosophical answer, but if you are,
that's a good one. All right. So now time for the feedback. How did it feel to you? Was it similar to your previous experience?
well, it was actually really interesting, because you had some sort of questions which I haven't encountered previously, since I was only mostly interviewed for more technical positions. So there were some, I would say, tricky questions. How would you approach this if you need to do some sort of tricky, you know, situations, which are definitely, how to say, part of being a leader or manager or of a team. So it's a different, I mean, it's a definite different role from what I'm doing now. Those questions were a bit tricky. I needed to think about them, but I think it's good to challenge. I like the fact that you challenged me with some questions. It wasn't like pretty straightforward, you know, this and that. You challenged me with some things that are not so obvious to answer on first. You really have to think about them, and even if you think, then you get into more thinking. It's that's what I like about the interview, because it was more maybe challenging in a way, not challenging in a technical way, because let's say previous interviews were more challenging in a technical way, but this was definitely more challenging overall, I would say. And I like the approach that we both had this opportunity to exchange let's say you were asking something and then you more clarified it. You got to say you heard what I'm saying, and then according to it you processed it, and then you get to some other maybe question, maybe direct the conversation in a specific direction which might be more suitable from you as an interviewer. So I like to be challenged in that kind of way, because then I also learn about myself. This is a situation I haven't been before, and this is what is actually what helps you grow. You cannot grow if you're only in how to say this known area, known situations, because then you just act automatically. You just act like a robot, and this is what I liked about interview, to be challenged. And I think probably like interviews for leadership positions should definitely be challenging. Not only why did you decide to apply to our company? Why do you think we are the best? You need to provide people with real life situations which are actually difficult and challenging, and they have to think, because it's psychological analysis of an individual applying for a leadership position is, I think, even more important than technical knowledge, because you can rely on technical knowledge from your engineers. Definitely, if you are engineering leader, you have to have engineering background. I think it's really inappropriate to put someone who has no engineering or technical background to a leadership position of engineer, because you have to have similar mindset and understand what is actually going on. But you don't have to go into much of a detail. You just have to have people whom you trust with specific, I don't know, tasks. Let's say this guy will be assigned this will be assigned it, and you have to trust them in those, and you have to trust in their feedbacks.
But by the way, this question that I'm asking in the beginning, this is I always ask this question that why have you decided to apply for this position? In our case, this is not straightforward, because you didn't apply for this position until now. You didn't know what would be the position.
Yeah.
And also position normally some kind of funny bit role. So it's more like question which is a bit maybe tricky, in a sense that it's checking out your creativity or how you handle
unexpected situation.
Non-standard situation.
Yeah.
But there are different people who are watching and listening us. Some are experienced, some are less. But let's say those who are aspiring engineers, what advice would you give to them?
Definitely, my advice to those people would be to be persistent. To be persistent. To like don't wait for tomorrow to do anything. If you have any sort of idea or goal that you want to achieve, maybe even write that goal. Proceed in that goal. Try to analyze it. Try to divide it into smaller tasks. See how will you achieve it. Is it achievable in, let's say, this time frame? Don't set goals too big. Don't expect too much. Expect to be pushed, challenged throughout all the way. Don't expect things to be easy. I would say that life in general is not easy. Life is hard. There is more competition than has ever been before in any sort of area. Not necessarily like, even if you want to, if you do sports, if you do this job, if you do engineering, if you do economics, if you are a president, if you are a sailor, there is more competition than ever. And it's more and more demanding. And definitely just you need to be, I think, the persistency, and this not giving up is the most valuable asset you have, because this is what kind of divides you. Let's say for me, it helped me when I was studying Estonian. Some people will say, why do you study Estonian? You don't have to, you don't even have to know Estonian. But I did it like every day. I just did it. I don't know. I write a few sentences, 5 sentences. I repeat them. I looked like a maybe child, learning some poem by heart. Maybe if you would look from third person perspective, it would look funny. But I was persistent, and I managed to catch a language which is, according to most of the people, very difficult, in less than a year time to reach B1 level, which is not maybe some spectacular level, but this is the last thing I would actually want to address that kind of made me proud of myself, because I showed myself that I can have some specific goal, I can track it, I can analyze how will I go to this goal, and I actually achieved it, so it's a cliche, but everything is achievable. Just depends how persistent you are. Okay, someone might do it in 2 months, someone might do it in 1 year, but for all of us, it's achievable if you are persistent enough, if you are motivated enough. So even if in the situations of high stress, your life is not going good, maybe you are tired, you still don't allow yourself to give up. Don't allow those stuff to distract you. Just do what you have to do, because if you don't do it, someone else will do it. and overtake you in the race to get to the finish line.
Thank you. And that was Filip Culjak in the episode of Leaders and Engineers. Thank you for watching and listening us.